Things you will need: a sewing machine and thread, front-facing fabric, which is what will be facing outwards when you wear the mask, lining fabric, that's what's going to be touching your face, scissors, an iron and an ironing board, elastic or ribbon or fabric strips, a cutout shape, which I'm going to link to in the description, and distractions for Wedge or any animals that might want to eat everything on your crafting table. We are going to start out by folding our front-facing fabric in half and then tracing our template onto it and cutting those pieces out, giving us two identical pieces. Now we do the same with the lining fabric. Next, we are going to cut out some fabric strips. I'd say roughly 2 inches in width. They do not have to be perfectly straight. They just have to be longer than the end product of the mask you are going to be making. Take the two cutouts of your front-facing fabric and line them up together so that the wrong side of the fabric is outwards on both sides. We are now going to sew along the long, outwardly curved edge of these two pieces. Now do the same with the lining fabric. The basic shape of our mask is starting to take form. We now have two sides, the inside and the outside, both of which have a nice stitch-free view on one side of them. What we want to do is now put them together, wrong sides together, so that both sides are a very attractive view of our lovely fabric. Now we're going to sew along the two long edges. A better sewer would pin this, but I have found it's faster and just easier to adjust as I go. Make sure that you line up the edges as well as you can. You're going to have a lot of loose strings throughout this. Just cut them as you go. Hey, look, so pretty. Okay, so now we're going to take those fabric strips from earlier. We're going to cut them again so that they're just a little bit longer than the length of our mask. And we're going to line them up with, to start, the top edge of the lengthwise side of our mask. Now sew again along the top edge so that this fabric strip is connected to the top portion of our mask. Again, a better sewer would use pins. I very rarely use pins. This is going to be our most complicated bit. Place your mask with the lining side facing upwards. We are going to fold the fabric strip in on itself, basically in half. Ironing here will be a big help. And now we are going to fold over that strip one more time, this time overlapping our inner lining. Our goal is to fold the strip far enough down so that it matches the seam we created along the other side. Again, ironing. Yeah, so I forgot to film a close-up of this part, but basically we are now going to sew along the seam line I just mentioned. Ideally, both sides of our mask will now look the same, with a folded over strip creating our hemline. And now, as we so often do, we are going to repeat this process on the bottom side of our mask. We are getting close. We just need to attach the tying pieces to the sides of our mask and then finish it off so that it all looks super pretty. For this, we're going to need more of those fabric strips. We'll need to cut some pieces that are a little longer than the short side of our mask. Now, we're going to fold in both sides of these pieces and iron them so that the strip matches the width of the mask but has no ugly, unkempt fabric edges showing. We're next going to sew along the short edge and basically start to mimic what we did with the long edges of our mask. The difference here is that we will nestle in the tying pieces of our mask into our second fold. Here's where you will need the aforementioned elastic, ribbon, or fabric strips. Make sure they fit within your second fold without hindering the inside seam. And you guessed it, repeat on the other side. If you're worried about your ties sliding out of your mask, it might be worth it to add some securing stitches across the top of your side hem to prevent this from happening. I highly recommend this, as your mask will be way more likely to survive a cycle in the washing machine. And voila, you have yourself a fabric mask. Simply secure it at the back of your head and neck, and you are ready to go.